In today's YouTube video, we are getting into a start-to-finish tutorial of Substack. Substack, if you are not familiar, has been blowing up recently. I've had so many guys who have been shooting me emails telling me to do a tutorial video of this, and that's exactly what we're doing in today's YouTube video. We're going to start off with the functionality and some of the high-level pros and cons of Substack, really get into who is this for, how you can use it, walk through in a very easy way through a screen flow tutorial, so that way you can see on my screen how to actually get started here, and then we'll get more into, for those of you that want to really turn your passion into profit. If you want to quit your 9-to-5 job, you want to do something that you love full-time, how can you do that? How can you start your creative career? How can you monetize your craft? We'll be talking about that more towards the end of the video, and some advice if you really want to accelerate this. But Substack is a great tool. Like I said, more people have been talking about it. I put it in that same camp as Patreon or Gumroad or ConvertKit, and I have some great videos out there on that. But without further ado, let's dive into this video and let's discover how you can set up your own Substack and to start earning income now. So let's get started with this video. If you're not familiar, my name is Salvador Briggman. Wherever you are hailing in, get yourself a Diet Coke and a bowl of popcorn because you are in for a treat with today's tutorial video. I'm based out of Miami, Florida, but whether you're in the United States or outside the United States, you can use Substack to be able to earn income as a writer, as a creator, as someone who's maybe doing something like video work, podcasting, bloggers, finance writers, authors, local news. You can use this as a way to actually earn income from your craft. And you can do that either with free, starting with a free newsletter, for example, or beginning to eventually charge for what's called your Substack, where people are going to be paying you on a monthly basis to be able to create that content which they want to get access to. Now, Substack has been growing a lot in recent years, and they've been really growing their verticals as well, beyond just bloggers or writers or even food writers, right? Going as well into video production and podcasting. So you can learn more about that here on their website. I want to first kind of cut through the fluff and get right to the meat when it comes to what are you going to be paying in order to start a Substack account, because I think this is really important. There's this great quote out there that leaders count the cost. Before you go down a path, you always have to count the cost if you actually want to go down that path. So if you are a writer, if you're someone who's producing a Substack again is going to be a newsletter which you're sending out on a particular periodic basis, and those people, your fans or your readers, are going to get access to that information that you post and be able to send to their email address. In order to do that, first of all, you can start a Substack for free, no matter how many subscribers that you have. But if you're going to start paying for that sucker, if you're going to start charging for that, then they're going to charge you a 10% fee of every transaction that's made, plus a credit card processing fee. Now, if you're a beginner as a creator, you might not really understand what that is or how that works, but all that really means is that every single transaction that's happening where someone's paying you, they're going to be taking a 10% fee. To contrast that to other tools that are out there, Patreon, I believe, starts at around 5%, going up to 8% to a little bit more than that, depending on the tier that you're on. Gumroad starts at around 5% transaction fee. So if we were to kind of rate this, I would say this is a little bit of a higher transaction fee when it comes to Substack, but there are also a whole suite of tools that you're going to get access to when it comes to Substack. So if you're wondering if you should jump in, I think that this statistic really stands out with many of my readers and many of my students, which is the fact that when you are doing a Substack, more than 40% of all subscriptions and 15% of paid subscriptions on the platform come directly from the Substack network. So what this basically means is that if you are starting a Substack, a platform that you're launching your newsletter on, you're already kind of tapping into a bit of an audience when it comes to this. There's 40%, like I said, of all subscriptions, and 15% of paid subscriptions on the platform are coming from the Substack network. So not only is this platform a way to be able to monetize your existing audience, but it's also a way to begin to grow your audience as well. If you're doing something new, if you've never done anything online before, this can be a way that you can tap into the Substack community and you can begin to grow a little bit of a network when it comes to that. Number two, the next one I want to point out is the amount that you're going to have to make in order to quit your 9-to-5 job or to be able to even supplement your income, or to have just a really strong side hustle going. And this is something that I've actually covered in the past. I have a great video out there. Not many people have actually watched this video, but I think it's one of my better videos, which is 1,000 True Fans, and really demystifying this rule, which is the fact that in order to earn significant income as a creator, you don't need millions of followers. And Kevin Kelly was actually the first one to say this. You really just need 1,000 true fans. And I think this calculator is a great example of that. So as you can see here with this calculator, you can calculate based on the number of subscribers that you have at a certain dollar figure per month. We'll do the lowest figure here, 400 subscribers. As you can see, you're making around $1,622 per month. Now, that's probably not the amount that you're hoping for, right? If you're living in any kind of a major city, I used to live in New York City. I lived there for 6 years. You definitely could not get by on $1,600 per month. That's going to maybe be, at a lower end, your rent, right? When it comes to New York. But you can really see how this starts to actually make an impact on your household income, whether you're a mother or a father, or even just you're providing for yourself. This can be a way that you can earn some extra income from home. And once you get to the bigger numbers here, then you start to see, oh, okay, I can see how this can be, a much bigger income source for me, how one day maybe I could quit my job, or maybe I could actually pursue this as a full-time business. So the number here is 1,000 true fans, even getting to 800 subscribers at $5 per month. I would say that's a pretty good padding when it comes to any kind of income stream. And I've also covered this in other YouTube videos as well. I have a great video out there on Patreon, and Patreon is an alternative to Substack, which you can use in order to earn subscription income and crowdfunding revenue from home. I also have a great tutorial out there on Gumroad as well, showing you exactly how to do this. And more importantly, I put together this one video going through this top 13 side hustles that anyone can use to earn extra income from home. So this is 100% possible. This is showing you how even just with a couple of hundred subscribers, it can dramatically change your income and change your life. So there's two ways that we can get started here from the main page of substack.com/about. The first is just to start publishing and start creating one. The other is that if you already have a blog, or you already have a newsletter or something like that, you can import your newsletter to Substack. Now, what I would say is that I found this tool to be a little bit spotty. I put in a couple of my websites and it really only recognized one of them. So I have a website, crowdcrux.com, which is sort of my main website. I also have another kind of blog that's more of a personal blog on salvadorbriggman.com. If you click this, it's going to start finding URLs, likely from your RSS feed, I'd say, when it comes to your website, and it's going to start importing them. This may or may not work for you. Again, it did not work for my other one, and it found about 10 of the articles, it looks like, that I've written on this specific blog, but I've written a heck of a lot more than 10 posts. So I would say this is a little bit spotty. I would definitely want to think about, if you are using an existing blog, maybe considering exporting those first into something like a Word document or an offline material source, and then you can upload those later. Now, for those of you who do not have an existing newsletter or website, all you would do here is either click Start Publishing or Sign In. So you'd first would start your account. So when you're starting any kind of account, if you want to, you can use your own name. I love to use this little Proton Mail Chrome app. And again, I'm just putting this off here. It's pretty cool. You can actually create a new alias email if you don't want to give out your email yet when it comes to a new tool. And that's going to reroute to your main email. So you click here and you click Agree and Continue. So that's just created basically a dummy email for me, so I'm not going to get tons of emails to my main email. We would then start here. I'm going to say my name, right? Salvador Briggman. Bio, I'm an author, I'm a writer, I'm a YouTuber, podcaster, right? I have a lot of different things here. And Instagram as well. I do have an Instagram. So I put my Instagram in here and we'll click Continue. Okay, and next we need to think about our publication URL. So when you're deciding on the publication URL, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one is the branding, and number two is the SEO. So with the branding, I would recommend picking something that other people are going to be familiar with, whether that's your name or company name that you're kind of grow, like CrowdCrux for me, right? Or something that's really kind of in the line of what people are going to recognize in their email inbox when they come to the website. Number two, though, would be search engine optimization. So if you want people to stumble upon your Substack, for example, when you're going out there and you're publishing this, you want to be around a niche topic, you could consider having a Substack sub-URL, subdomain that's more in the line of an SEO-friendly one. In the next step in the sign-up process, and we're moving right along here, we are making moves, we're taking action, you're following along with me as we're getting this done. Really, this is at the point when you're going to be uploading your email list. So they really encourage you that if you already have an email list, likely even from your friends and family, or if you have LinkedIn connections, that this is a way in which you can begin to get your Substack started. So they're, first of all, inviting you to import your list from Patreon, from Ghost, which is a blogging platform, from MailChimp, which I talk about a lot as an email newsletter, and some of these other ones, or you can upload your own if you'd like. So for now, I'm just going to click skip. We're going to skip this one. And then we're going to decide if we want to start to fill out my account here. So these would be inviting other people or adding other people to your subscriber list. So all I'm going to do actually here is add one of my own emails. Okay, then next here, it's prompting us to basically invite other people to our subscriber list. And they're really trying to make use of your friends and family when it comes to this data and this information. So I'm just going to enter my company email in here. If you guys want to, you can email me at any point in time. Just go to my website, crowdcrux.com, and you can shoot me an email, or you can copy my email from here if you want. And you can shoot me an email if you have questions about this. So I'll just click continue here, and then we'd say diving into our interest. So every Substack is going to solve a problem, whether that problem is delivering valuable education or information. It could be entertainment value, where you're making someone laugh on, off their chair because of the things that you're coming up with, the ideas or, the jokes or whatever it is, the stories that you're telling. It's either going to usually fall into that informational category or that entertainment category. Now, one of the things I've been so interested in recently is the intersection of business and technology, obviously AI technology. I also find US politics super interesting as well, but there's a lot of polarizing views there, so we're not going to get into that one right now. I'm going to say technology, digital media. I really love digital marketing. That's what my entire channel is on. Artificial intelligence is something that I'm super curious about as well. And maybe we'll do one more here if I have a business one. Let's see if I got a gadgets and software. We'll just do business, and we'll say that's my main interest here. So now it's inviting me to start to subscribe to other writers that I might like. Now, some of these I recognize, some of them are unknown. It could be interesting just to kind of, get information about a couple of these. But remember, this is why I signed up with my dummy email account, because I didn't really want to get information from everyone just yet. So I'm going to click skip for now. And we are ready to get started here with our Substack. So boom, look how simple that was. Getting started, creating an account. It's not rocket science. Anyone can do this. Even if, you're not very familiar with the online technology and the internets, this is something that anyone can do. So at this point in the video, I hope that you're motivated, first of all, to start your Substack, because anyone can do this. It's so easy to do, just like I was saying. Number two, I want to go through some of the functionality within the dashboard just to make this a little bit easier on you. But in addition, if you're the kind of person that really struggles with taking action, if you're struggling with moving forward in life, creating that habit of just following through when it comes to your goals and your visions and your dreams, and not everyone suffers from this, but I certainly have it many times in my life. I was not always, quote unquote, successful. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't have a blog. I didn't have an email newsletter with more than 40,000 subscribers on it, right? I was definitely not that person. And in the early days of my career, I really struggled with taking action. And what I've done is I've really codified all of that and put together a couple of simple tactics and strategies which anyone can use in order to crush procrastination, to get things done, to change your life. And I call this the 67-day rule. And that's because it takes about 66 days in order to establish a new habit in your life. And that habit that we're trying to really instill is to follow through, to gain unstoppable momentum, to take action, even if that is 10 minutes a day, right? Moving towards those things which you're trying to do, whether it's launch a new business, earn a side hustle income, get something out there, start making money online, building your creative career, turning your passion into profit. This is about building a habit, and that habit is to reprogram your mind so that you can take control of your time, your energy, your future, and more importantly, you can start showing up in your life. So if you feel like you've been procrastinating or putting off things or preparing too much, go and check out this new book that I have at crowdcrux.com/67. I will include that link down below as well. If you want to learn more about the 67-day rule, this is the exact same method that I used when I was living with 5 roommates cramped into a tiny apartment in New York City, struggling to get by, barely have enough money in my account to even make that month's rent, and really just filled with a tremendous amount of fear and paralysis and uncertainty and not knowing my way forward, right? And I kind of committed to taking action over the next 67 days. And when I did that, it changed my life forever. So you can learn more about that story, but also check out some of the tactics and some of the strategies that I have for crushing procrastination in the link in the bio. So let's get back to our tutorial here. So what we got here, first of all, is a couple of different items which you can kind of go through on your own time. If you want to learn more about like how to publish a post and find your first subscribers and those kinds of basic things, it gives you this really nice checklist item to-do list of different ways in which you're going to be able to move forward quickly with Substack. Now, I would say that the fastest way to get started is, number one, to have an idea of what you want to write about. Have an idea of maybe the content calendar. Can you put this out on a monthly basis or a bi-weekly basis or a weekly basis? And number 3, who is going to be your target audience, right? Who are you going to be sending this out to? And once you import your own subscribers in terms of your friends, your family, your first and your second degree connections, this is a great way to jumpstart that. So I first want to direct your attention to the post section, because these are the posts that are going to be drafted or scheduled or published. And a lot of people come to me like, Sal, how is it that you can do so many things at once? And the reason why is that behind the scenes, me and my team, we have a content calendar, and we'll have different posts on my blog, crowdcrux.com, that are scheduled to go out ahead of time. So this is a very powerful tool, because you can set up, for example, your launch of your Substack over the next 4 weeks. You can schedule one post per week, and then you're not having to scramble, right, to get those Substack newsletters out every single week, and you have it all planned ahead of time. So to get started, we're just going to do a new post. You can do a text post, a video post, an audio post, new note, new chat thread, whatever it is. We're going to start with a text post. And again, Substack obviously is really heavy leaning into the viral growth tactics there when it comes to asking you to refer someone when you haven't even used the tool yet. But that being said, we're going to start with a title here. So we're going to say title of first post is be welcome to my Substack. And I don't know about you, but I'm not really a fan of doing too much writing, even though I've written 10 plus books and I just published one. It's always like pulling teeth, man. It's always so hard to get a book together. I would invite you to consider using AI, to start using ChatGPT or other tools in order to help you when it comes to Substack. Here's our second subtitle here. So we're going to do a second subtitle, which is going to be welcome to my Substack, introduction of what I'm going to be covering in my Substack newsletter. And we have who it's by, which is me, right? If we want to, we could do a guest byline or invite someone else. And then it's just inviting us to start writing or to adding in multimedia. If we want to add in images, audio, video, if we want to format this, we want to put in buttons. For example, sharing this post or leaving a comment, sending a message. These are all easy ways that you can just upgrade the look and the feel when it comes to your Substack. Now, I know I'm going to get a ton of comments that are like, Sal, why are you talking so much? Why are you showing us so much theory? Why don't you start executing when it comes to Substack, right? Well, first of all, I love you. I love my haters, and I love the people as well that are trying to move their life forward. But I do think that one of the easiest ways to do that is just to show you. So for anyone out there nowadays, if you don't want to necessarily start your own account when it comes to ChatGPT for whatever reasons, if you wanted to, you could just come to chatgpt.com and you can enter any kind of a prompt. You don't have to yet have an account with this actual tool if you're still a little bit on the fence with using this. So let's just say you're just using this to do a little bit of the heavy lifting. So number one, we could say, can you write me a simple introduction to my Substack newsletter, welcoming people and letting them know that I'm going to be sharing some of my tips and advice about, let's just say, actually, if you're doing something more education related, like more finance related, we'll just say about finance and personal in savings and smart money management. So I don't even have these things spelled correctly. Let's just click that and we'll make sure we'll see what comes up. So we've got our ChatGPT. So I have welcome to my newsletter. So I'm glad you're here in this space. We're sharing available tips and advice here and thoughts on finance, right? So this looks great, but how could we improve this? Maybe say, put this into a more conversational tone, please, and make sure to sign my name, Salvador. Again, we're not even logged in, guys, yet when it comes to ChatGPT here. So there we go. We got a very simple newsletter here. So we're going to take this and we're going to go back to our Substack here, and we're just going to paste this in. So it says, hey there, welcome to my newsletter. I'm excited to have you here. This space is all about sharing tips, advice, strategies when it comes to finance, personal savings, and money management. If you're looking for simple, actionable ways that this can help you, thanks for my journey. Can't wait to dive in with you, Salvador. Now it's definitely one way to get started, and I probably would, if I had more time, give a couple of advice items when it comes to this. I would think about a more interesting headline here. So what could be a headline? One could be, introducing to my story, or you'll never guess this, or major announcement, or something really cool. Remember, these people are getting this email from you, and they already know who you are, right? So you don't have to, you can get really interesting with those titles. So we'll say here, can you come up, just really quickly, can you come up with an interesting curiosity gap headline like you'll never guess, etc. So let's do a couple of these. So here's one. You'll never guess the easiest way to boost your savings. Make it more informal and personal. So I would probably do something like this, and I might say here, major announcement. Because again, those people already know who you are. So there we go. We have our little newsletter here. Now let's say, how can we upgrade this? If this is the first time we're sending out a Substack newsletter, we've never done this before, data is king. So what do you want to learn about? Let's just say as a poll here, we're going to edit this poll, right? What do you want to learn about? The first one we'll say is going to be something more along the lines of personal finance savings, we'll say. So savings and household management. We'll do another one, which would be investing and growing wealth. What's another personal finance habit? We could think more about like side hustles and other income sources, and maybe income. And maybe the last one, if we want to put a final item here, and again, this is about finance, we could say finance news, right? So we'll do a survey. How long do you want to do this survey? Let's do it for 3 days. I would say the vast majority of people are opening and interacting with that email over the course of about 1 to 4 days. You'll get a couple of people that open it because they've been waiting on the weekend to go through their emails. And if you want to, you could show the vote count or you could hide that. So we're just going to click show this vote count. And we have now a poll, which is introducing people to the newsletter. Now, first of all, what do we got? We have an introductory message, and now we're already starting to gather data about our audience and what they want to learn from us. So that way the next email isn't just going to be a shot in the dark, but you're really creating something for those subscribers. You're really making something that other people are going to resonate with. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillite today. Link in the description. Now, this might be fine and dandy for the average person, but for anyone who's watching my channel, you are an executor. You are someone who is kicking ass and taking names, and you are going the extra mile, just like I talk about in my new book, The 67-Day Rule, going the extra mile. So what are some other ways that we could gather data and information? Well, I think the first one would be, inviting people to reply to this email. So what we could say as well is something along the lines of, what are you learning about? And we could say, I'd be really curious, though, can you take a second to share your own thoughts about what you're interested in learning about when it comes to your personal finances? This would mean the world to me and will help a lot of my Substack subscribers as well. And let's put another block here. We'll do a button. We'll say, if we want to do leave a comment, and other people can comment if you want that to be more public, or we could do send a message, right? I like the message one a little bit more because it's more private, right? And that way no one is really gonna, recognize that. Some other things we want to, we could obviously have a subscribe button in here or a share post button, and there's more ways you can do that, but I think we're good for now. So we're gonna click preview so you can see this. Now, the cool thing about Substack is that they have a really great user interface, which allows you to easily preview whether this is going to be mobile view. This is how it's looking, right? And then you also have your desktop view. And this is how it's going to look on your desktop view. So you already got a nice looking little post there, and you can gather data and people can begin to see that. And they can also message you personally if they wanted to. And this is how it's going to look like when it comes to the email. Now, is that not a subject line that's going to get your attention just a tiny bit? It could be major announcement, or I have an embarrassing confession, or oh my gosh, you'll never guess, ... Something that's going to kind of sizzly get a little bit people's attention. In addition, the second line here as well is likely to show up in the email. Depends on which email provider that you have. So you might want to think about something that's going to be, curiosity gap as well, like you'll never guess what I just did, right? Or something that's going to just kind of get people's attention a little bit. You can also view this in the browser if you'd like. That's going to pull up your Substack one. And we're just going to say done here. So we're going to click continue. continue. So after you have done your first post, you can now select who is this going to be for? Is it going to be for everyone, or is it going to be for paid subscribers? And this is, again, where the monetization aspect gets started. If you're just getting started, I would recommend having a free Substack to begin to build value with your audience. And once you have started to build value, then you can turn on the paid subscriptions. Otherwise, you might not know what you're doing, and people might not get the most value out of it from the get-go. You can also allow comments, as you can see here, and there are tags as well. So we're going to say for tags, we'll just do finance. There we go. We'll do, and one other one will be personal growth. And last one will be money management, we'll just say. Now, what is the social preview? Gosh, this is so much information, and I commend you a lot for being, a listener, and also for being at this point in the video. If you do feel like this is good value, give me a thumbs up on this video, man. Come subscribe for more content like this every single week, and leave a positive comment down below on this YouTube video. But that being said, if you wanted to customize the photo that's going to appear when you share that on social media, this is where you would customize the social preview. And finally, you have the delivery method, right? So you could deliver that instantly via the email and Substack app if you wanted to, or you can schedule this to go out ahead of time. Now, this is what I talk about. I have this great free course out there, and I've been really trying to put out more content on that. I actually haven't talked about it very much on my YouTube channel, but I have this really cool free course where I'm going through how do you automate this, right? How do you really turbocharge it? How do you have more leverage when you're doing these kinds of making money online or building your creative career, or you're trying to even just make an additional side income? How do you add leverage to that and kind of like inject that steroids component? So that way you're not just burning the midnight oil and wasting all of your time doing this, but you're doing it much more intelligently. I have a great free course out there, which I'm going to link to down below at crowdcrux.com/wealth. And it's going to share with you more tips and advice I have for anyone who's working at home and really want to optimize that to make more income, to find other tools they can use beyond Substack, but also the strategies and the processes which are going to allow you to do this a heck of a lot easier without all that headache. It's just a huge headache if you don't know what you're doing here. So we're going to say send to everyone in a day, right? As you can see here, I'm going to change that date, and we're just going to deliver those two. We're going to click schedule that email. We can also add subscribe buttons if we want to. I'm going to publish without those buttons for now, and we're going to get this going. So there we go. We got our post scheduled, and there's also an app as well within Substack that's going to allow you to see more information. Of course, they want you to download the app for their own purposes there as well. So what do we got now? We have published our first post, and we've kind of gone through a couple of best practices, which is just to really, when you're first getting started, to gather as much data as possible about your audience so you know what to deliver them, so that way they can get started. If you wanted to, you can copy this link here. We can put this here, and you can link this, and people can begin to get access to those posts which you're publishing. Some other things here would be, having an image. If we wanted to, we could create this, and you can see here how this is going to look. But I want to move on to the next component here. And the next component is really going to be going through some of these other elements within this tutorial and really getting to how this is going to be useful for you. So the next one is going to be podcast. Now, I do know a thing or two about podcasting. I've actually published over 500 episodes of my podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified. I got started way back in the day, back in 2015 with my podcast, and I was able to successfully monetize that show. I also publish a version of that podcast on YouTube. I also publish a version on iTunes, on Spotify, and also on some other podcasting apps like Stitcher, etc. So podcasts are a very powerful tool, but if you want to charge for your podcast, you can use your Substack to be able to import an existing podcast or start a new podcast. So let's just say that we want to do this here. First of all, you're going to select your podcast artwork. You have your podcast artwork here. You're going to select your categories. Let's just say we're going to do something along the lines of business. If we had a secondary category about investing, you can add in more information here and description. I'm just going to kind of breeze through this because you can go and you can set this up on your own time. And then all you want to do is you want to create a new episode. And that's when you'd be uploading the recording or the MP3 or whatever file it is, that type that you're using, the WAV, the ACC. I'm not actually sure what the ACC is when it comes to that. Hard to believe I've been doing this for so long, right? But you can upload easily your file type, and that way you can start your podcast. You can upload that and people can hear exactly how your podcast sounds. All right, so I just started to upload one of the podcasts here that I published recently. And this podcast, first of all, was actually one of the podcasts that I published about crowdfunding. So I have this podcast, Crowdfunding Demystified, and we have our episode. This one was episode number 439 of the podcast, breaking down how Zencastr. If you know podcasting, Zencastr is a tool which you can use in order to record your podcast episodes. And it's actually a really great tool, and also publish them. They raised over $500,000 on WeFunder using crowdfunding, and I actually interviewed the founder or one of the founders behind that, Josh Nielsen, who's the co-founder of Zencastr, and he broke down how he's able to raise $500,000 using crowdfunding. So what I've done is I've updated and uploaded this here. So what you can see here, you can see a little bit when it comes to the transcripts, and that's starting to load there. As you can see on this side, you can see the guests as well. If you want to interview and invite other people when it comes to the guests, so they can share that, right? And they can actually have more of an impact in terms of the sharing. You have this starting to be populated, and then we want to think about the title. So just for here, just to show you guys what we mean, we're going to put this here in the title. I'm going to start as well beginning to copy my subtitle. I'm going to get that here. There we go. And we're going to have here as our subtitle. So we got a podcast going, which is awesome. And we got that little video here. If we want to edit the header and the footer of the email, we can go that here, and we can start to have a banner or different images. That's really going to make that kind of more of like a thematic, or if you want to use the marketing jargon, a brand feel when it comes to your Substack. And what is that going to look like? Well, you can notice here, click that preview button, and you'll be able to see how this appears within the mobile version and how that's going to look when it comes to the Substack, the publishing there. So you can see the title. You can also see the description there. You can see what this actually goes through. You can see some of the comments and the restacks there. If you want to look at the desktop version, you can very easily do that. And you can see here the actual Substack. So I would say the great thing about Substack is it's kind of like replacing your website to a degree. Like we obviously have this all published on my own website, crowdcrux.com. But if you don't have a website yet and you want to kind of have something that people can go to, they can check it out, they can listen, right? You can very easily do that. And now it looks like they've also, let's say here, done. They've also generated the transcript behind this actual podcast. Now, why is that something that's going to be valuable? That's valuable because a lot of great information is within this show, because it's literally telling you how to raise $500,000 using crowdfunding, and a very reputable man, a very reputable mentor is telling you exactly how to do that, right? So it's quite valuable in that way. And if we wanted to, we can go into other things as well to see some of the show notes. Personally, I don't think these show notes are all that good. I think we can do a lot better with some external tools, but I can see that Substack is definitely trying to do something there. All right, so we're just going to send this to everyone now. And again, I probably would improve those show notes. I don't think their AI tool did a very good job of that, to be honest. But now we have two. We have one that is scheduled, that one Substack that we scheduled here. And we also then have one that we've recently done. So you can see here, we have a draft, we have one that's scheduled, and then we also have a latest post. And this is also when you're going to start to see a little bit of information of people that are coming in when it comes to your audience with Substack. All right, so I know that this is a long tutorial, so I appreciate you so much for spending some time here with me today. But I want to get into just a couple more items, and we'll finish off this tutorial with some best practices. So first of all, if you wanted to engage and start a subscribers chat, you can begin this. If you wanted to, just click create, and now you have your Substack chat. So this is a way you can sort of engage those readers and those subscribers. And I've built up multiple forums over the course of time. I have a great Facebook group. So chat is actually extremely important, and it's one of the things I work into whenever I'm working with a digital marketing client of mine or a student. I do coaching, and I also have courses and products out there that help students. I always recommend engaging the community, and I've built up multiple communities over my course of my career. One of my communities here has over 21,000 members on Facebook for Kickstarter, crowdfunding, Indiegogo. I have other ones on LinkedIn, more than 10,000 members. I have other platforms. I also have kickstarterforum.org. This is actually my online forum. This forum has more than 10,000 members on it of people who are regularly sharing posts and information about their campaigns. So I built up a lot of communities over my career, and I do think it's a very valuable element when it comes to creating content and as a creator. And that way you can engage with your readers and your listeners. That's going to make them more likely to come back back to stay members of a paid community. And also it's going to create an emotional experience, because the big thing is like when people start talking with you, it's great. When they start talking with each other, it's even more powerful. So as you can see here within the chat, you can go also to your direct messages, your unread, and your all. This is going to be an easy way that you can keep up to date with your community. Breezing right along, let's get to subscribers. So subscribers is just where you're going to be able to see all the people who are subscribed to your actual Substack community, those that are paid, those that are free, and that's going to allow you to monitor your growth, your annual revenue growth, your free growth, the percentage of people that are free versus paid. This is really a business model. And I can't stress this enough that, starting an online career, starting a creative business like this, starting a subscription-based online business, this is really a business model. And you want to just get a little bit savvy about how that works. It's going to make it much more easier to be successful there. So you have your subscribers, and you also have more stats in terms of where people are going to be visiting your platform, where they're visiting your Substack, how they're discovering that, whether that's through emails, traffic. There's a lot of nitty-gritty information here that's going to appear once you start your actual Substack account. So one of the great things about this is that you can then have a much more comprehensive digital marketing strategy. So for example, you can see how many people are opening your emails that you send out, how many people are clicking the links, how many people are delivering percentage of good emails that's actually being delivered to. So you can have a digital marketing strategy. You can forecast, oh my gosh, okay, we're getting this amount of traffic, we're sending out emails, this is our open rate, this is our click-through rate, this is how many new subscribers that we're getting every single month. You can project, if you want to, where you're going to be in a couple of months' time, and really decide, is this something that you want to do or not, and dial into those channels that are more likely to bring you more subscribers, more traffic, and more income. So the final bit of functionality that I want to cover in this video is just the settings. And I think the settings is really confusing, to be honest, with most of these platforms. So this is really going to be for you if you want to customize the entire experience. Now, if you are a beginner, you might not need to look at this, but if you're a little bit more expert, number one, you want to put a Facebook pixel onto your Substack. Why, Sal? Why would I want to put a Facebook pixel onto my Substack? Well, if you have a Facebook pixel, then you can actually run conversion-based Facebook ads. You can retarget people, and you can have a paid marketing strategy so that when you do set this up correctly, you can grow your community like wildfire. You can even use your custom audience, or those people that are a paid Substack member, to create lookalike audiences on Facebook to be able to get more people to join a part of your community. It's so exciting, man. I'm getting so excited just as I'm talking about this with you. The potential is unlimited. You can also use Google Analytics. I totally recommend installing your Google Analytics ID. It's going to give you a lot more sophisticated tracking information when it comes to your account. It might be a little bit over your head at first, but it's definitely something you're going to want to have there, because you can start to gather and collect that data. You can also from here manage other things like your posts, importing your emails, etc. So a couple of more things that I might want to think about would be just some of your details here, your RSS feed, all that kind of stuff. You can customize this a little bit more here, and also your sections, right? I think your sections are one other item that you might want to put in there and be mindful of. Aside from that, a lot of this is really going to be bare bones. Like, what are you going to call this, right? What is the email from sender name? I think if anything, the more important one is going to be your email from sender name, the email that you're using in terms of in order for people to recognize who it is that they're receiving emails from, and also the subject line in your emails. Those are probably going to be the most important when you're just getting started. So let's finish this off with best practices and really how to get you paid. So if you want to get paid, you got to connect your Stripe account. It's a little bit annoying to get started, and you're going to have to select what your pledges are, what those tiers are going to be. You want to think about, what is the value that I'm delivering a person out there, a subscriber, a reader? Why are they paying in order to be a part of this community? What are they getting out of that? And really working backwards to identify what are some other ways that you can really stress those benefits behind that information. So for example, if you have a newsletter out there that's sharing maybe some of the AI tools that you can use to upgrade your personal finances, or easy ways to do that, or video tutorials, that's something where someone who is in debt, or someone who's really struggling to get their hands around their finances, is going to find it to be extremely valuable. Just imagine if you could save yourself, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per year, and even on a monthly basis, you can finally wrench back control of your life, start saving and building a nest egg for things like your retirement, for investing in starting businesses, for building wealth, for investing in crypto. There's so many ways in which you can kind of think about that, but that's going to first start with your pledges and really getting a sense of what people are getting out of it. So if you're taking notes right now, number one tip that I also share and talk about in this free course would be, you got to think about what is it for other people that they're really coming to that Substack and they're getting something out of it. What is it they're getting out of it? My second tip is actually in line with my book, The 67-Day Rule. And that tip is that you got to stay committed to this. We've gone through videos on Patreon and other tools out there. And most often students of mine tend to quit. And that tends to happen around the 3 to 4 week mark. So if you want to really see results, you got to stay persistent and you got to stay committed. And I only started to see results with my podcast, my blog, my YouTube channel when I started to do it consistently, like every single week, right? So it's hard to stay committed and consistent, but when it comes to Substack specifically, if you want to grow your free subscribers, if you want to grow your monetized base as well, people that are paying you every single month, you need to stay consistent because those people are going to forget who you are otherwise. They're not going to remember the value they received most recently. So by being consistent and by being committed over a sustained period of time, I recommend obviously 67 days in line with my book, at least 67 days, but there are ways to make that 67 days even much more magnified. For example, scheduling posts in the future to make it easier to stay up to date and to have maybe your Substack account producing content over the course of 3 months and not just 67 days or even longer. So make sure you stay committed is number 2, because most people fail in the online business game just because they're not being consistent. Number 3 is to create a theme around your posts. So what I mean by a theme, well, a lot of people, that one thing like catches their attention, like a dog chasing cars, and they put out an article on this or put out an insight on that, and it's very disjointed. And I agree, it's very challenging to stay organized. That's a problem of myself as well. But what I have noticed is that when you are having sort of a continuous thread of emails that are going out, and with one email, you're teasing the next email, and with that email, you're teasing the next email. What it does is it really increases engagement around your email marketing audience. So what you want to do is, for example, send out one Substack talking about, you guys, you got to see the next email that I have in tune. We're going to be talking about one of the major disruptors when it comes to the personal finance game. This is a tool that's changing everything, and we're going to be talking about it on my next email. Right? That people are on the edge of their seat. And then you do that next email and you talk about the tool and you dissect that. And by the way, guys, there is a new news announcement that is making waves when it comes to the personal finance industry. And if you want to learn about this and how this is going to impact your life, your household, and your income, go and read my next newsletter, which is coming out in a couple of days. Now, everyone is on their seat again, waiting, excited for that next email. So my tip number 3 is to have a continuity when it comes to your sequence and to build up interest, intrigue, and kind of maintain that tension throughout that entire email sequence. Tip number 4 is to become active in the Substack community. So first of all, if you come here, you can go to the homepage when it comes to Substack, and you can see a bunch of different verticals, topics, and people who are regularly publishing content when it comes to Substack. Now, there are ways in which you can get involved in community. An easy one would be to linking to other people's articles and posts and then letting them know that you did that. We call that cross-promotion when it comes to blogging terms. And also coming here, you can see how Substack is really becoming a social media network in of its own, where people are sharing sort of short form bits of advice, tidbits, content. This is one way you can easily stand out in the community. And more importantly, the more you get social proof on these posts, for example, hey, I just published a quick update. Would you mind going here and upvoting it, right? That's going to be an easy way for other people to see that you are actually legitimate, that you're doing something that other people are resonating with, and those people are then going to go and check out that article. So you want to kind of think about this more strategically. If you're doing updates, for example, or micro posts, asking your community to get involved in liking those, in commenting on those, or on resharing those are a great way to bring attention to what you're doing. And the last one, and I am also super guilty of this, we have more than 40,000 subscribers, many different audiences out there, not just on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but also other audiences as well. You want to stay on topic. And I think it's important because people are receiving your emails and your content from a variety of different, mindsets. But more importantly, they want to solve a problem in their life. So it can be very tempting to have many different topics and like a hodgepodge, to use a big vocab word, of many different, niches within one Substack newsletter. Instead, what I would do is I would have multiple newsletters based on the topic that you are interested in. So if you're interested in, AI technology, and you're also interested in baking, you probably don't want to put those two together. Instead, you want to have one Substack that's on AI technology that you're producing maybe new news about, and then another that's just on baking. So you don't want to commingle those two audiences, or they're going to be just really confused. Confused people, number one, never buy, but also confused people tend to unsubscribe because they're all of a sudden they're getting content that they didn't really want. So just be mindful of that, and that would be my last tip there. If you want to jumpstart the process of moving into your life with that habit of taking action, go and check out my new book, The 67-Day Rule, at the link down below at crowdcrux.com/67. In addition, if you want to get access to my free course on how to build digital wealth from home, to be able to earn extra income from home, and be able to supplement that and turn your creative passion into something that you're doing full time, turn your passion into profit, go down below at crowdcrux.com/wealth, and you can learn more about this free course. But I hope you enjoyed this video, this tutorial going through Substack. We went through a lot. There's so much more to cover. This is a great platform that's really growing, but there are other ones out there. So go and check out some of my other videos. Subscribe to this channel if you want more content just like this. My name is Salvador Briggman. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.